Welcome. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my show. Welcome to Late Night with Brooke. You want to know what happens when you push too far? Want to know what happens when you go after kids and tell parents they must affirm, must transition, must comply, or they're evil? You know what happens when you walk into a women's sports shop and say, there's no advantage, shush up, and accept it? You know what happens when you say, someone has to do is declare identity and gain access to women's showers, women's lockers, private spaces, including spaces for kids. This is what happens. The public doesn't see nuance. They don't see separate extremists. For ordinary trans kids, they don't distinguish between medical, transition, gender, dysphoria, political, theater. They look at the community as one giant tree. And when the activists go too far, lawmakers start chopping at that whole tree, chunk by chunk, policy by policy, right by right, first person, then assurance, then coverage, then adults, gender, affirmative care, healthcare supports, then legal protections. And they justify it by pointing to the most extreme. Do you think they stop at prison? No. Do you think they... One second, let me get my thing on over here. And we'll continue in a minute. Find where we are here. You like pina coladas, getting troubled in the rain. If you're not in yoga, there we go. You have nothing brain. You like making love at midnight. And the queen summer's wet. On the day before. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello. How are you? Where was I? I was here somewhere along the way. So, like I was saying, when people get comfortable, when you demand things, they defy common sense. When you push policies most Americans are already not ready for, when you ignore biology debates instead of addressing them honestly, you hand your opponents ammunition. And when you give them the headlines, you give them outrage clips, you give them campaign ads, and then they use it to dismantle protections. People who never asked for the chaos, adult trans, people who just want health care, who just want stability, who just want to be treated gender dysphoria, without becoming symbols. You help us, but when you center everything on children, on sports, unrestricted access to private spaces, you don't protect us. You escalate backlash. And that backlash doesn't target you alone. It targets all of us. So here's the hard message. If you are fighting in ways that ignite cultural panic instead of building durability, the consensus is you're not strengthening the tree, you're weakening it. And the rest of us are standing underneath. So while the branches are falling, people ask me all the time, why do you fight for some things and not for others? Well, here's the answer. Because there's a line. There's a point where arguments move from dignity into demand. People suspend common sense. As a trans person, the first fight is internal. It's survival. It's alignment. It's becoming honest. But once you step into the public life, the fight changes. The public will meet you halfway. They'll accept more than people think they will. Okay, so live your life. But then they stop. When it no longer makes sense to them, When we ask people to pretend there are zero differences between a trans woman and a biological woman, that crosses the line. That goes away from common sense, right? We demand biological males compete in women's sports. That crosses a line. That crosses common sense thresholds. So when we say children shouldn't make permanent decisions before they can decide what they want for lunch, that crosses the common sense line. That crosses a threshold. And when you cross that threshold, the public doesn't punish you. Not for that issue. They just pull back everything. I do not believe the average American, wakes up and wanting to hurt trans people. But if you force them to choose between compassion and what they believe in, what they believe is reality, then you choose what feels real to them, and they will say, I'm sorry, but I can't go there. That's where the mistakes were made. In the last 5 years, I didn't watch this movement with shock. I watched it with dread because I knew what was coming. When you push too far, when you ask for things that people cannot reconcile, the pushback isn't small. It's twice as hard. It's 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and now we're paying for it. We are a small group, let's be honest about that. We don't have the numbers to move society by force. We need allies, and allies do not follow fantasy. They follow common sense. If we want stability, we have to protect. We have to wait long-term securities. We have to stand on ground that makes sense to ordinary people. Dignity, adult anatomy, medical necessity, basic respect, not overreach, not denial of biological realities, not policy demands. That collapses under scrutiny. The only people who can steady this is us. The only people who can pull this back are us. If we don't draw the line somewhere, someone else will. And we don't like that, we push it. So common sense isn't betrayal, it's survival, right? To me, this is the part that needs to be separate, clearly. Taxpayers should not pay for elective gender surgeries for inmates while they're in prison. I agree with that. If you break the law, you go to prison. You lose certain privileges. That includes non-emergency elective, right? Elective procedures. That's not controversial. But here's the policy goes off the rails. If you take a fully transitioned transgender woman, someone with breasts, someone with surgical construction, a vagina, and you place that person in a men's prison, you are knowingly placing that human being in extreme danger. You can argue biological all you want all day. You can argue definition all day long. But here's the reality. Inside a male's prison, men will see breasts, men will see a vagina, and men will not see political debate. They will see opportunity. That's not compassionate. That's not strategic. That's not responsible. It's reckless. And it is the functional equivalent of placing a biological woman in a men's facility and pretending nothing will happen. Well, we all know what happens in male prisons. We are not naive. Now, here's where the accountability matters. This overcorrection did not happen in a vacuum. For years, activists pushed framework that said anyone can declare a gender identity and immediately gain access to the opposite sex facilities. No medical standards, no transition requirement, no thresholds. That extremism forced a backlash, and now we have to opposite extremes. A blanket policy that ignores surgical status, ignores anatomy, ignores obvious safety risks. Both sides overreached, and the inmates are the ones who will pay. Let me be clear, this is not a congressional law. It is policy. It can be reversed by a future administration, but the harm will be done between now and then. If accusers occur, if people permanently traumatized, that cannot be undone. So here's the balanced position. No taxpayer should fund elective surgeries for inmates. But yes, fully transitioned inmates should not be placed in obvious physical danger. Security policy must be grounded in reality, not in ideology, from either side, because once someone is in the state's custody, the government assumes responsibility, assumes it for their safety. That is not activism. That is not constitutional duty. This is one piece of hope in all of this. There's not a law passed by Congress. It's an executive order. That means it can be reversed. The next president can overturn it. That matters because it gives everyone about 2 years to reset the strategy. And I'm going to say this plainly. If you are an activist who actually cares about long-term rights for transgender people, transgender adults, you need to recalibrate, right now. Because when the next administration comes in, we will have one shot, one opportunity to make the case for durable protections. Not slogans, not viral moments, not policies that defy basic public institutions. We will need to argue for medical care for adults with diagnosed with gender dysphoria, insurance recognition, mental health support, protection from violence, clear discipline, defensible rights. If movement continues to push demands that most American families view as unreasonable, you're not building protection. You're building resistance. And resistance eventually hardens into law. Understand the stakes. If enough backlash accumulates, Congress will codify restrictions. And once that happens, it becomes much harder to undo. Right now, this is reversible. It's temporary. But only if the strategy changes. And let me be clear about something. You are not going to change this. Not Trump's presidency. You're not going to change his mind. That fight's over. The only path forward is preparing for the next one. And when that moment comes, the argument must be grounded in measurable policies, adult medicine, necessity, and constructional responsibility, constitutional responsibility, not culture, because when movements overreach, the public correct. And when the public corrects, they often swing harder than expected. And if you want durable rights, you build them. You build them on consensus, not pressure, not shock, not defiance of common sense. There's still time, but not much. Use it wisely. And if you wonder what I'm talking about a new law that reached the prisons. Part of it I agree with, part of it I don't. The new law is that no longer will inmates in prison be afforded medical transition on the state. So taxpayers will no longer have to pay it. However, there's one of the things that they're going to do, regardless of your status of transition, you will be placed in whatever facility matches your birth. That can mean that some people that look like me can be put in a man's prison. And for any of you out there that know anything about prison, what do you think somebody like me, how do you think I would do in a man's prison? Do you think I would do okay? Do you think I'd be okay? Do you think I'd be left alone just to do my time peacefully? Or do you think that there might be an issue? Do you think that just maybe, they might treat me bad or pass me around like a pack of cigarettes? But according to this new order that was signed, I would have to go to a men's prison. You know why? Because people took advantage of it, because there was no fail-safes. There was no guards. There was no, well, you say that you're trans, prove it. Are you transitioning? No, it made it to where average men that are in prison, and I'll just say they're probably not the most pillars of the community. All they had to say was, I'm trans, and you'd take a biological male, ship them on over to the female's prison, and that's where they would live for a while or for the rest of their sentence. Now, if you were a guy in prison and you were sentenced to, let's say, 10 years, and they said you can either do it here with all these guys, or if you simply say you're trans, you don't have to take any hormones, you don't have to do any search, you don't have to change anything. You just have to say that you are, and we'll take you out of this man's prison and we'll ship you on over to the ladies' prison, and you can spend your time there. But no, nobody would ever take advantage of that in prison, would they? Would they ever take advantage? No, no. They would never lie, would they? They wouldn't lie just to get out of prison with her and be housed with a bunch of female inmates. No, of course they wouldn't lie. This is what happens when you push an issue so far beyond common sense that it happens. Now, one of two things either happened here, if you ask me. Either they were too stupid to realize what might happen, or they knew exactly what would happen and did it anyway. You tell me, what do you think? Right? If you were in prison for 10 years and you had an opportunity to go to a women's prison just by saying, I'm trans, and we didn't make you cut your wiener off or anything, would you go? Or would you stay in prison with all the boys? I think everybody would go. I think a lot more go. And out of the federal prisons in this area, there was 300 requests. And out of those 300 requests, how many do you think were approved? 295. 295 approved, 5 were not approved. Wow. I'm sure they were all completely honest, and not a single person that wasn't supposed to go over there went. I'm sure of it. Because we all know how much we can trust inmates to tell the truth about who they are. You see how stupid this sounds? This is a direct result of when people in this community, my community, sit there and tell people that they must accept a transgender male in women's sports and there's no difference. And if you say there is, then you're transphobic. This is what happens when you say, oh, anybody can identify as male and they should be allowed in women's showers. This is what happens when you try to transition children behind parents' backs. See, all of a sudden, people start pushing back. When they push back really, really hard. They start voting shit in. We start losing rights because those are all stupid ideas. Those are all crazy things. And if anybody ever goes against it, you say, you're transphobic. Idiots. Now you're getting your just. This is what happens, guys. This is what happens. When you reach outside the box, you don't act within common sense. This is what you get. Stupid. So what do we got here? Drain my wallet. Only I should be allowed in women's showers. Only women should be allowed in women's showers. My whole point is it totally made a really unsafe environment for transgender women that have had bottom surgery and have had top surgery. Because if you put somebody like me in general population in a men's prison, I'm going to be like currency, right? That's the reality of it all. Trump just signed didn't just sign it, just went into effect, an executive order stating that no more, that you will be placed into prison according to your biological sex, right? Which is fine, unless, in my opinion, that you've transitioned. Because if you've transitioned and you're like me, putting me in a man's prison would be a death sentence. Well, maybe they would keep me alive just for functionality reasons. But can anybody see how that could be an issue? And then to allow inmates to transfer over to the women's prison just simply by filling out a form. Not anybody that's on hormones, not anybody that's transitioned at all, just anybody who fills out this form and claims that they're transgender. If approved, they'll be transferred to a female prison to serve their time there. But nobody stopped to think that maybe somebody might lie, that they might not tell the truth just to get out of the men's prison and go hang out with a freaking bunch of lady inmates. You can't be that dumb. They cannot be that stupid. You can't transition, not what? Hey, dude, what the hell are you talking about? Well, stuff. I don't think that you should have to transition all the way for one thing. You mentioned the requirement to require money, and not everyone has access to treatment. I'm talking about in prison. In prison, when you're in prison, Trump's executive order affects people in prison, not outside of prison. And yeah, not everybody has money to do it, but there are states that have insurance that make insurance pay for it. If it's that important, if I was in another state that did not have insurance that would cover transition, I would move. To me, I mean, if it's that important to you, you move. You go to where you need to go to get it done. I'm fortunate. I lived in California. Insurance pays for it here. But this is about the prisons. This is about safety. This is about common sense. This is what happens when you push stupid ideas on people. What I'm trying to say here is, because you expected the country to accept children transitioning, because you expected the country to accept transgender women in women's sports, because you expected the country to accept anybody who says that they're trans in women's showers and shit, regardless of how they look. Because of those things that you asked the normal public to accept, the public has flashed back. They fought back and said, no, before I didn't care, but now you've gone too far, right? That's what's causing all these problems. The general public, I don't think, hates trans people. But when it comes to choosing between their kids and a trans person, they're going to pick their kids every time. When you say to them, I just want respect, they say, you got that, but you're not going to get these other stupid things. Common sense went out the window. This movement went out the window. Something really, really wrong. This movement started following the wrong ideas. Just, where was your brains? I just don't get it. Is it because they're young, dumb? I don't know. Like, for example, why are they protesting against a war against Israel? Like, I've thought about this war, and I was going to do a whole show on the war and break it down, exactly what the Ring of Fire meant, exactly why Israel and oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, Israel and Iran. Why Israel so important to the Middle East? What Iran has done to us, the hostage situation back in the 70s, the many times that they've broken the rules, this and that. And I could have pointed out both ways, depending on which way I wanted to lean. I could have made a strong case for either side. But then I had to stop and ask myself, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the people of Israel or Iran. What do they want? Right? Do they feel repressed? And as far as I could tell, everything that I seen, they were celebrating in the streets for their freedom. Now we have left-wing people here in our country that are protesting against this war, protesting against the loss of life. Then I asked them, where were you when 30,000 people got gunned down by their government over there? How come you didn't say nothing then? This isn't about one person getting shot while they're in their car, or another one getting jumped where two people got accidentally or not had their lives taken away. This is 30,000 people that the military was ordered to open fire on, and nobody said boo. But when we go over there and try to liberate these people, everybody's up in arms. They're protesting left and right. Now I have to ask you, be honest with yourself. Is this because of Trump? Because you think the war is wrong? Because the people of Israel seem to really be happy about this. So isn't that what this is all about? What they want, not what we want? Will you please expose me and run me for wearing women's panties and chastising if I don't send? Oh, what are you talking about, weirdo? You see what I'm saying, though? The left wing, the Democrats have lost all of my trust. For some reason, they've gone off the rails. I don't even know who they are, whatever they are. You got the mayor of New York City saying, "Oh, this is against everything. We broke the law, and Trump has broken this." And what is this guy? Who is this Mandani dude? You know, who the hell are you? Where did you come from? And how the hell did you get voted in as mayor? The guy doesn't like our country. He doesn't like our how we run things, how we live. This is the Western civilization. This is how we do things. And he wants to fundamentally change everything. And the people of New York voted him in. What the hell is wrong with you people? Why would you vote this man in? People on the left wing, have you guys lost every loving bit of freaking common sense that you have? And I'm not saying all the people on the left, but these far radical left woke people, I think you've seriously gone off the deep end. Not to mention the fact that you are protesting for a country that if I was there, they would end me. You don't even know what you're protesting. Just anything against Trump is what you do. And I don't understand that at all. Right? What I like to have here is honest conversation. You should always enter this channel thinking my mind could be changed. Because if you're set in your ways, then you're not really listening. You know, are you one of those people that just go by, okay, I want to learn what's going on in the world today, so I read 5 headlines and then I think I'm informed. Wouldn't it be better off to read one all the way through and get yourself completely informed than 5 headlines? Because headlines don't tell you the truth. It just seems like we are so lost. You know, and the power between this group, the people that listen to this channel most are between the ages of 25 and 45, and they're male, they're men. You guys have the most voting power, the most working power in this whole country. But what are you doing with it? I don't think that the people that listen to this channel are the ones that are out there protesting, but we're allowing it to continue. We're giving these people voices. When it comes to Israel, what matters is what the people think. This person, this regime that is in charge of Israel has created havoc. They've killed service members of ours. They've tried to assassinate our president. They've lied. You know, oh, you should go back to the bargaining table. They were lying. They lied before. They would lie again. Right? I just don't see your reasoning. I don't think that you should have to transition all the way for one. The thing is mentioned that require, oh, I already read that one. I'm sorry. Let's move on. See, you like, oh God, you're a pig. The only way is through Jesus. I know I am a sinner, but you're comparing apples and oranges here, and that's all I have to say. I'm not here to debate. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean I'm comparing apples and oranges? At least tell me that before you bug out. Did New York forget about 9/11? Islam, terrorists, hello. Exactly. And then they vote in a communist mayor. I don't know what's going on in New York. I really don't. They seem to have lost their ever-loving minds over there. But then again, same in San Francisco. Same in Los Angeles. Can somebody please tell me, if you're on the left, what is your agenda? What are you shooting for? What is your end game? Because it doesn't make sense to me. It, you know, gays for Gaza? Do you really gays for Gaza? That is so ludicrous that you're saying this. And if you literally went over there and expressed homosexuality, you might be taken out. Not like on a date. I'm just taken out. The things that you're being taken over in colleges, and you're You're protesting things you don't even know about. Here's one thing I've noticed about every rally, every protest I've ever seen. When they go up and they interview somebody there and they say, what are you here for? They don't even know. They're just there because why? Because it's something against Trump. That's not why you do things, people. Fake news, your comments don't matter. I'm not fake news. My comments matter. Sure, they matter. I see the end game. What's the end game? I don't get it. TDS. Do you know what TDS stands for? What does TDS stand for? Does it stand for trans derangement syndrome? Is that what it stands for? What's under the hood? I have a vagina. Thank you very much. We wanted you to be a man. Well, Dave wanted me to be a man. Why, Dave? Why does it matter to you what I am? I don't understand that at all. What do you care what I do with my body? How does it affect you? I just don't understand that. What does it do? I'm trying to live my best life, and you're acting as if somehow this affects you. I don't get it. I'm on your side. You just don't know it. It's just a low IQ comment. Why are you wearing a cross? You're kidding me. I don't think you understand God. I don't think you do. So can you tell me exactly why I wouldn't wear a cross? Where in the Bible that it says that I shouldn't wear a cross? Because I just had a different show where I proved you exactly why I belong in heaven with God. And why would you worship a God that wouldn't allow everybody into heaven? So, because I think you're crazy. I think you lost your mind. I think you lost your way. What does that say? Fake news, pick and choose the comments you read. Clickbait. Yeah, I don't do that. I try to do a deep dive into everything that I talk about on here. It's like I started to do a deep dive into Israel, and then I was coming up with arguments for both sides. Why we should, why we shouldn't. And then I stopped myself and I said, well, it's not up to us. Is this what the people want? And if it's what the people want, because they're the ones that have been suppressed for the last 49 years, I don't know what that's like. Neither do you. But I do know that they were celebrating in the street. That doesn't sound like people that were sad about what was happening. They want to be liberated. They just marched millions of people in the street and got 30,000 people gunned down. That's something that we'll never know what that's like in this country, because it'll never happen to us, but it happened to them. But nobody says anything about that on the left. They don't mention that at all, but they mention when Renee Good gets shot. One person, it's the end of the world, but 30,000 people over there doesn't matter, right? It's an empty protest. You're not making any sense to me. And these are supposed to be people that I'm acquainted with. Because I'm trans, all of a sudden I have to think like them. I don't think like them at all. Not even close. Not even a little bit. So many bigots in chat. Yeah, they're just a bunch of fools. Let me see. The U.S. government. The U.S. government runs by. They're not run by Israel. See, that's such a cop-out. Okay, it's so easy to write a little comment like that with no substance behind it. We're not run by Israel. We're not. Think about Israel. Just think about this for a minute. They're the teeny tiny little country. At one part, they're only 6 miles wide in their country, and they're surrounded by people that are funded by Israel or by Iran to basically constantly attack them in a full circle. They're surrounded at all times. They're the only one that keeps democracy alive at all in the Middle East. And the people of Israel don't seem to have an issue. They like their government. They like the way it's going. And check me if I'm wrong, but the people around them, it's not the people that want to do this stuff. It's these terrorist little groups that are being funded by Iran that keep doing this crappy shit. The people want to be rescued, just like Right now, you know who's calling for help? You know who wants the next regime change? Cuba. The people of Cuba are calling, can we be next? Can you please free us from the tyranny that we live under? Right? This is the people asking. Just like the people of Iran begged Trump to do something. And he did. I don't know how you can say we're run by Israel. It doesn't make sense to me. I bind you, Satan, in the name of Jesus. You're an idiot. You know, you really are. You're an idiot. Yeah, that's just an idiotic statement. Nobody can tell me why I'm going to go to hell just because I'm trans. Please tell me why it is I would go to hell because I'm trans. Why? And also, while you're explaining that, explain to me why it's okay for you to judge me when God explicitly says not to in the Bible. But you always forget that part. Huh? You just skip right over that one and go right on into your assholeness. Right? Why don't you tell me how and why? Because I can tell you what God said. What God said about people like me back in the day when the Bible was written, he would have called me a eunuch. That's what it would have been. And God said, whether it be by birth, by hands of another, or by choice for spiritual reasons, a eunuch will be known by a name better than that of brother and sister and always have a place in the house of God. That's in the Bible. Now that's a real verse. But you don't have one. You just say, you're going to hell because you're Satan. You sound stupid, right? God is a loving God, not a hating God. But you choose to judge, constantly choose to judge me, when that is one of the most explicit things that it says in the Bible is not to judge, but you do it constantly. So if anybody here is sinning, I think it might be you, not me. Because God would have called me a eunuch back in the day. Today, it's called trans. That would have been called eunuch then. Now, let me remind you again, Jesus himself said this in the Bible. Whether it be by birth, by hands of another, or by choice, right? You will be known as the better than thy brother or thy sister. And then there's another passage in there where it says, a eunuch came up to a priest and asked, is there a reason I shall not be baptized? And the priest says, no reason at all, and they baptized him immediately. Got something better than that? Those are right out of the Bible. I'm not making that shit up. No, dickhead. Here's the facts for trans, just another word for slang. Forget, you're an idiot. I'm not gay, you bozo. Call me a dickhead. Look, if I was a dickhead, you'd be sucking me because you're a dick suck. You're a fool. You're just a fool, guy. I'm not going to get into a name calling match because you're outbrained. You're not up to the. You're not up to the fight. You're just not. What the Target bathroom is going on? A man shall not wear. Okay, yeah, I know what you're going to say. A man shall not wear the garments of a woman. See, you forget to read the rest of that script, guy. You know, you throw that out. That's the only one that you can throw out of the whole Bible. I can tell you more than you could probably tell me that you could throw my way. But here, let me finish that one for you. Man shall not wear garments of a woman, and woman shall not wear the garments of a man. Do you know what that was in reference to? Do you? Probably not. But I'm going to tell you anyway. That was in reference to war. A man shall not wear garments of a woman to avoid war, and a woman shall not wear the garments of a man to enter war. Nothing to do with trans, fool. You got to read the whole thing. You just can't read the headlines. Right? Sorry. People, there are so many more important. Yes, aren't there? Isn't there so many more important things to talk about? We're at war with another country, right? We're trying to liberate them. Our problems are nothing compared to the problems that the poor people have over there. And also, here's another thing that people don't think about. If you guys, does anybody here know who Chris Bledsoe is? Has anybody heard of that name, Chris Bledsoe? He's the guy who seen the orbs and the lady, spiritual lady that he contributes to being a religious thing. And he made a prediction 20 years ago that April of 2026, that there was going to come a shift. Does anybody know who I'm talking about? He made a prediction. Now get this. People say, whatever, whatever. This is over 20 years ago. Here's what he said. The lady in white, or whatever, the lady of the light told him. Now remember, 20 years ago, he said, when the bombs start to fall between Israel and Iran, it will have begun. Also, she was told him, unless humans change their ways, because there are elite amongst us that are trying to end humanity as we know it. And unless we change our ways, we will go down. And they showed him a vision. The vision, he said, was the sun, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, then everything went bright. And they asked, was it a mass coronal ejection? He said, no, it was a supernova. Now you think, whatever. And the other one was when the red star of Regulus aligns with the site of the Sphinx. That's when. She also said that she would let herself be known to the public to help him convince everybody that this is real, basically. That's kind of funny, because didn't Trump just say he's going to release all the UFO things? Now, Chris Bledsoe doesn't say this is not aliens. This is biblical shit. And if we don't change our ways, then God is going to burn the earth, like he said in the Bible. He said, then Jesus will have to come and save us again. But there's time. Basically, here's the bottom line. If you pick empathy over power, you've chosen correctly. The other way you haven't. Do you think the way you're behaving in here is what you'd want to be known as? It's what you'd want to be judged by? I don't think so. This is very serious stuff, because a 20-year-old prediction comes due in less than 4 weeks. Less than 4 weeks. Now, even if there's a slight chance that this is true, and don't forget, this person, Chris Bledsoe, has proven to many, many people. And he's been interviewed by every single 3-letter department in Washington. And also including by the Vatican. People are taking this guy very seriously. They said, prove it. Prove that you see these orbs. Prove that they're real. He took 1,000 people to the coast and showed 1,000 people exactly what he was talking about. He called them, he summoned them, and they came. 1,000 people. Go to his website, look up the burning tree. There's no joke here. Now, I kind of have a habit of believing the guy, what he's going to say. Question is, do you believe him? And if you do, what is your choice going to be? Because I see a lot of hate in this room. That's terrible. That's what they're talking about. When the Lord first called upon the great floods, he said, because he no longer recognized that of man. And it kind of feels like that today. But anyway, there are more important things to talk about. But if you know, does anybody know who Chris Bledsoe is? You got a laughable definition of beautiful. Are you referring to me? I never said I was beautiful. I'm high, but still know this shit is retarded. Yeah, you're right. It's retarded. It's retarded. You're not. Not at all. How old are you? 30? Smoking weed? Mom's house? No job? That's okay. There's more important things, because this is all retarded. You're the smart one in the room, right? I have the Bible. Many of them, I read it. Wouldn't it be I read it? I read the Bible front to back too. I could tell you shit that you wouldn't believe. Are you drinking? Yes, I have a drink. No, I'm not gay. Those tits. What about my titties? Are you a boy or a girl? I'm a woman. Thank you very much. I'm not a biological woman, but I'm a woman. I can't be. I was born biologically male, so I can't get pregnant or anything, but I'm a woman. I'm a lady. Who the F is 30 and still living with their parents? Probably a large part of the generation. Look, and I know there's some kids out there that are really doing well. My friend's kid is really doing well. He's 30. I'm 61. But there's a large part of kids that are doing nothing. I call them kids, 30 years old. I have a lot of respect for your generation. You know why I have a lot of respect for your generation? Because we left you, we're leaving you a really, really big mess. The Generation X, uh, I'm not X, I'm a boomer. I'm the last part of the boomers. So the last part of the boomers and the Generation X are leaving the millennials a mess. You got a country that's a mess, complete mess. It's not as good as the one that we were left. It's not as good as the one that my parents were left. We're leaving you 30, I think it's up to $37 trillion in debt. We're leaving you a mess. And for that, I apologize. I've been crying from the top of the mountain forever. That X always brags about all the things that they've done good, but they forget all the things that they screwed up. We're the baddest generation. We won out playing until the streetlights came on, and we were latchkey kids and dur. But you forgot to say when you turned adults and you were the voting population that you screwed shit up. You voted in all of our jobs being shifted over to China, right, for cheaper TVs. You started using credit cards in the 70s where you charged everything so much you gave a false impression that wages were keeping up with inflation. Where does this all come out? Right now. It comes out now with all the debt that we have that can't be paid. And the kids that are left, our kids, the 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, are going to have to pay this debt that we've made. So before you start bragging about being Generation X, maybe you should come up with an explanation of why, after you screwed the country up so much, you're handing it off to our kids and then saying they're lazy. I know that people don't like to hear that, but it's the way it is. I'm not saying that we didn't have it hard when we were growing up. Not as hard as we're going to leave our kids. Not as hard. We had a great time in the 70s. I can't see a good time now. Kids can't even go outside and play, for God's sakes. Hide my real name? I don't hide anything. Are you male? No. Trump. I voted for Trump. That's that shot. You didn't. Wouldn't have voted for Kamala. Kamala was a fool. Show us how tough you are. Oh, you don't want me to do that, Dave. Dave, you know, you don't want me to do that. You don't want me to get not by a training. That would be too embarrassing, Dave. Besides, I don't do that. I don't need to use violence, Dave. Nowadays, these kids can get away with anything. For now, they can get away with anything for now, but you know what? The last part of the silent generation are passing away, and so are a lot of the boomers. Boomers are getting older. Like I said, I was like the last month of the boomers, and I'm 61. So a lot of the boomers are in their 70s. They're passing away. And the boomers kind of supported the generations and stuff. They kind of let them get away with a lot of shit. And yeah, when we were growing up, our parents, this is when women's lib became popular. So women started hitting the bars, right? Really going after it. Free love, smoking dope, stay on the green, Vietnam War, free love, right? Yeah, that was our parents' generation. They did coin the phrase latchkey kid because they would pop us down in front of a TV with a TV dinner and Pong, and they'd go out to the bars because they could. Where the generation before them never could do that. That would be unladylike. But our parents, my parents' generation did. They started hunting for husbands at bars instead of church. Whatever. They're the last of the money too, though, because their generation, the silent generation, inherited it from the greatest generation. So they still had money. They passed some of it along to the next generation, which would have been mine, but not a lot of it. They spent a lot of it. There was some wealth left. There's no wealth left for my generation to pass on to the next. It's gone. Sorry. How big is it? I don't have a penis, if that's what you're talking about. Can you make one comment on submissiveness? What, submarines? What is that? Submarinus? I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, how big is your cock? I don't have a cock. How big is your gall? Not my generation. They said, sorry, it's gonna, but that's okay. Sorry, it's gone, but that's okay. Oh my God. Let me see. Gavin. Is that Gavin Newsom? Make $2. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that donation. Sane person here. That's not like a kid whose parents were working too. They had to let themselves in the house after school. Yeah, I know the whole key. There was no key around the neck. People didn't have to lock their doors back then in the 70s and 80s. There was no need to. We used to leave the keys in the car all night. You never took the keys out of the car. That way you never lost them. It was a safer place. I mean, when I was younger, we used to run around town just barefoot all summer long and never had to worry about really anything. And I grew up close to San Francisco. I grew up in Northern California. Never had a problem, not once. Nowadays it's just crazy. Why are people so crazy? I don't remember ever being a school shooting when I was young, and now they're all over the place. What happened? What happened? Is it video games? Did these violent video games make everybody numb to the fact that when you pull a trigger, people's lives end? I don't get it. I don't understand this world right now. All I know is I'm trans. I'm trying to change the ideology of how people see transgender people. Because here's a few things that you people in here, because most of the people in here really don't like me. And that's okay. I don't care. But I don't think children should transition before they're 18 years old. I just don't think they should. I don't think it's right. I don't think they're mature enough to make those decisions. I don't think transgender women belong in women's sports because they have a physical advantage. That's not fair. And even if you have a slight advantage, it's still an advantage. Therefore, it's no longer an even playing field. I don't think that anybody who's transitioned who still have a penis should be in women's showers or locker rooms. That's not cool, right? You should never hide your transgender from somebody who might be romantically interested in you. You should tell them you have a right to. You have a responsibility, right? Kids in school, you can't hold that information from parents. Your job is not to raise their kids. Your job is to teach their kids. It's the parents' job and how they want to raise their kids. Whether you agree with their ways or not, it's not your child. You see, we're not that far apart, are we? I voted for Trump because Kamala was an idiot and she did not deserve trust. She lied to us for 4 years about Biden's cognitive abilities. They lied to us about the border, right? How can you vote for somebody that openly lied to you like that? People say Trump's lying. I don't see Trump lying. I think he's kind of an idiot at times. I think he's losing his marbles a little bit because he repeats himself an awful lot. But I think he's doing a pretty good job, right? He's going to bury himself by the time his term's over. He wants to be known as the greatest president to ever live. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But if you keep claiming to be the president of peace, but you keep starting wars, that's not going to fly. It's like, I stopped 8 wars all by myself, but you started 3. You're still -5, but I'm just saying. Those bombs that they're dropping over there aren't free. They cost money, and we pay the price. There better be a damn good reason you're spending billions of our dollars dropping bombs on another country. It better work out that Nicholas, whatever his name was, Nicholas Maduro, there's a good reason for taking him from Venezuela. There better be a good reason for what you're doing in Mexico. And I believe that there is on all this stuff, but he's the one who wants to be known as the greatest president ever. A lot hinges on this. This war with Israel, with Iran, I mean, how long is it going to take? Is it going to take days, months, years? We've already lost 3 of our servicemen. 3 young men have already died for this cause. Is it worth it? Time will tell. So for those of you that think I'm uninformed, or I don't know what I'm talking about when I'm in here, you're seriously mistaken. I take pride on the fact that I read about every comment or every subject that I talk about in here, including your precious Bible. Hey, Brooke. Hi. Is that Bree? Hi, Bree. Just letting you know Where did you go? I lost you there. What, darn it? Just letting you know you clucked them asses. They really think they did something and laughed my ass off. You're beautiful, by the way. Keeps saying, love you. Thank you very much. That's so sweet of you. People think that because I'm trans, I must be stupid. You know, they just automatically assume that. No, 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 no. I'm very well read and very well versed. I have yet to meet the person in here that could outdo me on the subjects that I talk about, because I pride myself on knowing what I'm talking about. Just because people think I'm stupid because I'm trans. Just because you're trans, you must be stupid. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to hell. That's just dumb shit. There is a person that knows. They know me. I'm not saying that I'm smarter than everybody in the room. I'm not. But if you can't make common sense and you can't make a natural argument without just being dumb and immature, then that doesn't show intelligence. Maybe you're smarter than me. Maybe you're not. But you got to show it. Let's see. What did you stumble upon? What did I stumble upon? You stumbled upon a beautiful young lady. I assume you are insane, not stupid. Now you might have a point. I'm not going to deny that. I might be a little bit insane. You see, I personally think that being transgender is a brain disorder. I really do. I think that it has to be a brain disorder, because if it was a natural, normal brain function, I wouldn't think I was in the wrong body. So it must be a brain disorder. And if trans people were really intelligent, they would agree with me, not fight it. You know why? Because a brain disorder is something you can't control. Therefore, it becomes medical. When you have a medical condition you can't control, therefore you are afforded health care. When you deny that it's a brain disorder, they can deny you health care, because you're saying it's a choice. Just saying. Think about it. So it can be treated. Not necessarily. Epilepsy is also a disorder. It can be treated. It can be tampered down, but it can't be cured. Right? Dyslexia, same thing. Be treated. Can't be cured. Those are all disorders. Hi, Ben. So your brain told you to buy fake tits? No, my brain didn't tell me to buy fake tits. Do you say that to other women that have had augmentations then? I'm just curious. Or am I just the lucky one? They're not fake. They're mine. This is real skin right here. Real skin. Real skin. Yep. Now let's see. Okay, what else we got here? It's a choice. Think about it. Everything is a choice, ultimately. Everything is a choice, ultimately. Being trans and having dysphoria is not a gender dysphoria, is not a choice. Nobody would choose this. It's very painful. It's very uncomfortable. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's definitely not a choice. Although you do choose how you handle the condition. I chose to handle it head first. Hi, Gavin. Are they soft? Yes, they're very soft. Very, very soft. They're very beautiful. They're very soft. Bouncy. Bouncy. I mean, I don't like guys. I've never been attracted to men. I've always been attracted to women. So I had my fair share of breasts, and they're perfect. I got to admit, I had a hell of a good doctor. My doctors are from SFU, San Francisco University. It's a teaching hospital. So you get the best surgeons in the country that work there to teach other surgeons that are coming up. And I was fortunate enough to where on all my surgeries, I had the top notch. Some of them were the best in the world. I did my surgeries. You should see the vagina they made me. Oh my God. You think it's odd? You think it's weird looking? No. It looks just like the real McCoy. It's not. I know that, but it looks just like it. It's incredible what they can do. I mean, just incredible. That lady, that doctor of mine, her name is Dr. Butler. She's just an artist. Wow, what a magician. Holy universe of boobies. Can you change your voice? Yes, actually, tomorrow I have an appointment with a doctor that is going to discuss changing the voice, to where they take and they They can change the pitch, but the resonance you have to work on. They could change the pitch. They take and they cut your vocal cords, and then they stick, like solder them together. What that does is where you don't have full range of your voice, which automatically makes it higher. So hopefully I'll know more tomorrow about when it's gonna. Hopefully we'll set a date tomorrow for the surgery. Yes, that is on the plans for having done, because I don't like my voice either. But like I said, I started transition when I was 56 years old. I smoked cigarettes for 30 years. Quit 10 years ago, but I did smoke for 30 years. What am I going to do? Doing my best. You'll find out. Do you have OF? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. It's his life. It's my life. It's my life, and I'll do what I want. Damn off the chain. Dan off the chain. Dan off the chain. I don't know what you're saying. By the way, your butt is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's changed. Fat distribution shifts when you go on hormones. Oh, if I have OnlyFans, no. No. Thank you, though. No. No, I have more respect than that. One's business, what you do behind closed doors. Nope, you're right. It's not. But I do. I come onto this. I started this channel for a few reasons, because I seen that the trans community was broken. Absolutely broken. That they were being headed down the wrong path, and they didn't even realize it. And that people thought about trans people just wasn't true. Because most trans people are just common sense people that just want to live their lives and just ask for normal respect. Were the ones that were making the loudest noise, were the ones that were getting the most attention. And that's what everybody thought trans were. So I said, I'm probably going to go on here because I really don't like crowds. I'm not a big fan of people because I think most people are pretty rude. But I come on here to do that, to try to educate, to tell people that are trans, you don't have to be woke. There's a place where you can go where you don't have to worry about being canceled, and it's right here. You can tell common sense. Kids shouldn't transition. Trans women don't belong in women's sports. Leave women's spaces alone. They've worked their ass off to get what they got now, and to do just have biological men come and take stuff away from them. That's not right. We shouldn't do that. We should be proud to be who we are. We don't need to take stuff from biological women in order to be proud of who we are, right? We just don't need that. Stop it. Stop it. Women were some of our biggest supporters, and so we started taking stuff away from them. I don't get it. And when we don't police ourselves, we get in trouble. We should be the first ones that condemn somebody who looks like a man claiming to be trans and wants to go into women's locker rooms, rather than saying, let them in, they can be whatever they want. No, they can't. No. If I'm there, you try to do it in the locker room that I'm in, you ain't going to get through me. Hell no. I'm sick and tired of people that are fake trans making me look worse. Nah, not anymore. That's over. That's why I'm here. Let the people know you have a safe place to go. You really do. Come here. We're not going to cancel you. Nobody can be canceled anyway unless you let them. Brooke, is Brooke petition? Yeah. Oh, hi, Annie. Yeah, there's my petition. In case you question my motives, I started this petition a while ago. I said when we hit 100 subscribers, I would go public and start going to local meetings, school meetings, town meetings. My petition is called Our Children, Our Choice. It's a petition to keep doctors and schools that have things about kids away from them. That is parents' choice to do with their kids what they want, not anybody else's. And parents should never transition their child before they're old enough to make up their own minds. That's just me. Let me see what you got. Your breasts make me tremble. Which locker room would you be in? I'm confused. Me personally, before I had bottom surgery, I would have went to the men's locker room, believe it or not. But I've had bottom surgery. Therefore, men's locker rooms are just as unsafe for me as any other woman. So now I would go to the women's locker room because I have a vagina. I don't think a woman would have a problem with it. When I took my clothes off, they'd look at me and go, yep, you're cool. Go ahead. Because I don't have a penis, right? That's the whole thing. It's not because women don't like trans people. They don't want penises in their bathrooms, in their showers with their little girls. Imagine if I went into the men's locker room and I'm fully transitioned, what would you tell your young son if they were in the locker room, that would be not cool, right? That would not be good. No, I would go there. However, if you got a penis, I don't care what you look like. If you got a penis, you don't belong in women's showers. You just don't. Go home and shower. Do whatever. Have some respect for the women's spaces. That's all I'm asking. Just have respect for women's spaces. Women deserve that respect. I love your hair. Oh, thank you. I'm thinking about bleaching my hair too. Yeah, it's, I mean, artificial color, but that's okay. This was my natural color growing up my whole life, so I don't think it's cheating too much, right? Dark roots, light hair. It's not cheating completely, right? I'm 60 years old. I got to do a little something to keep my youthful appearance. You're speaking facts. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I can't stay here. See ya. Okay, bye. Bye, Savage. I'll see you next time. I really like that Savage person, actually. You're total phony, full of it. I'm full of it. Can you please elaborate if you would like? I mean, you can call me whatever you want, but at least you should elaborate and tell me how I'm a phony, how I'm a fake. When I come on here and I pretty much just tell the truth. Whatever. May God protect you. Yeah, I would like that, but I don't need a lot of protections. Hi, Debbie. What are you doing up so late, Debbie? They're giving me a hard time in here, Debbie. I came on late tonight. I did a late night with Brooke tonight because I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow for my voice. I got all pissed off today about that whole thing with the jails and stuff. Got me all... So I said, I need to go on. Well, thank you. Is that Famous? You're welcome, Famous. I got to go. See you, Brooke. We'll see you next time, Bree. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. That's awesome. I'll be back on tomorrow night after I'll be back from the doctor. I got to go there around noon. So I don't know. I'll go back tomorrow on my regular time. I want to get in depth about a couple of things. Israel's one of them. The Israel and Iran. I want to really dig into that a little bit deeper and kind of see and basically let everybody make their own opinion on what it should be, but lay it out in a way that you're not going to hear on the regular news. Nobody's going to break it down for you like I'm going to break it down for you. So you really know what's going on, why it is exactly the United States can't trust Iran, what they've done, the promises they've broken, you know, what it is exactly the people want there. You know, do they really want to be released? Or do they want to not? And what are the chances that they're going to replace this guy with somebody worse? Or was this guy holding together the Middle East? That's happened before too. We thought we made a good move by replacing a person in charge, and it turns out the person that came behind them was even worse. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow night. Good stuff. Started relic training this week. Good for you. Good for you guys. That's awesome. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about tomorrow. I just wanted to come on tonight for a little bit and say hello to everybody and see how many people. I really had a good time the other day shutting the Bible thumpers up when I was talking about how God would refer to us back then as eunuchs. And the passages in the Bible are unmistakable. I even told my boss, who's a strict Catholic, read it to him, and he says, how can you deny that? It's right there in the book. Booyah. Transformers more than meets the eye. Not all women love that, Famous. Not all women. Wait till them fakers start looking like grapefruits. Hey, they're not gonna. They're not gonna look like a grapefruit. Cool. You see, no matter what you look like, you still have two legs. Two legs being, and imagine the pain you had to endure. Yeah. You know, the pain was only half of it. The mental part was almost as bad as the pain. The the bottom thing, because like I said, I live where I work. My job, I need my job in order to have the place where I stay. It goes hand in hand. If you don't work, you don't live here. So I went back to work literally, I think it was 14 days after my surgery, and they recommend 6 weeks. And when I went back to work, I had to go, and I was driving a tractor in a field that was tore up by the cows. I paid my dues for quite a few weeks. That was seriously painful. But the mental part, the mental aspect of transitioning in the bottom was very, very traumatic. It was very trippy. The chemical part, because you're no longer producing any testosterone except for the little bit that comes out of your pituitary gland. So your body and your mind and everything go through this weird stage right afterwards. It's really bizarre. It's emotional. It's bizarre. It's unreal. It's roller coaster, phantom pains, phantom everything. It's just bizarre. And it takes the longest time to heal. It took over 1.5 years. Right now I guess I'm a little over 1.5 years, and it's pretty much healed, but God damn, that hurt. And the face was, mentally, it was worse. Mentally, it was worse. The pain wasn't as bad, but mentally it was worse. When you wake up and you see your face, you're just like, what did you, terrible. Yeah, the mental health that comes in this app. Also, my problem was my family didn't support me. I thought that they'd be right alongside me the whole step of the way, but they weren't. They completely have abandoned me basically on this stuff. And I always thought unconditional love would conquer all, but it didn't. I've learned a lot. This has been a hell of a journey. I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but it's the path that God put me on, so I'm going to go down it. It was trippy. That phantom things. I used to be standing out there after the surgery, and it would feel like my penis was hanging out of my pants. Literally. I mean, when you have phantom shit, it's just like, it's real. You just like, oh, that's weird. That's trippy. Bizarre shit. What's that say? The guys want to be demonstrated dumping across the fields again. Annie, what are you talking about? What do you think about Bruce Jenner? Caitlyn Jenner? I remember when I was a kid actually seeing Bruce on the Wheaties box. And it was Caitlyn Jenner's story that made me start understanding what was going on with me, because I didn't even know. I had no idea what trans was. I knew when I was 6 that there was something different in my whole life. There was times that I just knew that something was off with me. And but when I listened to Caitlyn Jenner's story and I really looked into it, that's when I started to realize that, oh boy, I'm trans. Fuck. I didn't want to be. I really didn't want to be trans. I did not want to be trans. I would have rather been just a cross-dresser or anything else, but trans, but I had to face the reality of actually what I was. And then I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all the way, no halfway. No bullshit. Yeah, it was definitely it's a mental disorder. I know that trans people don't like to hear that, but my shoulder really hurts. I thoroughly believe that being trans is a mental disorder. How can it not be, right? You're not supposed to think you're in the wrong body. Of course, it's a mental disorder. I wish that the trans community would accept that and allow it to be labeled that way, because then they wouldn't deny you health care. I like being a man, but I feel like the world don't need men anymore. They hate. No. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. The world needs men. They need good men. Like my grandsons need a good, positive male role model. Men are very important for many, many reasons, not just labor. We definitely need good men. We don't need assholes, but we need good men. Men play a huge, important role. Don't ever think that you're useless because you're a man, because you're not. You have a very, very big role. You have a very big responsibility to do. You want me to massage? Yes, I do want you to massage my shoulder. It's been hurting me. I was at work and we were pouring concrete for this one spot where the cows went through. We had to run an underground pipe. We were pouring concrete. And while they were pouring it, I was running the screeds. stuff like that. And somehow I pulled a muscle there and it hasn't healed since. It's been a couple weeks. How many children do I have? I have two children. Two children, two girls and three grandsons. So you like men, right? No, I like women. I've never been attracted to men. That surprise you? Yeah. I thought it might. I thought the hormones might change my taste, but it hasn't. Oh, that would be nice, Debbie. It it's just it's one of those things, especially for some reason, like when I'm online, keeping my head focused at the camera, at the phone there, it gets into a spot where it just starts to really, oh, it hurts so bad. I mean, it's terrible. Oh, shit. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. I'm telling you, right now it's feeling like somebody's cramming a nail through my shoulder blade. What is that? What was that? Famous says, only think we got close to a man is Trump. Not after. Trump's an asshole. Don't Annie, don't do that to Famous. Let Famous say their piece. It's okay. Was that Annie? Annie didn't do that. Famous, did you retract the message yourself? I'm sorry, Annie. I'm not blaming Annie. Not blaming Annie. I thought because only you and I have that power in here. I don't care what people are saying tonight. Yes, I find it hard to understand as long as you're happy. Yeah, it's definitely hard to understand. I actually, oh, there's something new. I went to a brunch with my mom yesterday. Yesterday, yeah, yesterday, and she had some of her friends there and stuff. Now, for full disclosure, I had always promised my mother that I would never put in her face the new me, so I didn't wear makeup, anything like that. I wore clothes that were not revealing. You could still tell that and it was a little bit of an awkward breakfast, but it was good, or brunch, I should say. Um, we didn't have a lot of time to talk alone, but a little bit, and then they went home. But it was nice to see them again. And the only reason I even told her yesterday, I said, Mom, the only reason that I don't force you to accept who I am is because of your age. Because she's 82, 83 years old. And I just don't think there's enough time for her to understand it. And I would rather have whatever kind of relationship we can have for the whatever time she has left than to spend it trying to get her to accept something that she may never understand. That's why that's the only person on this planet that I promised that I would tone back Brooke. It's not easy. Makes me feel fake, but it's for my mom. She deserves it. Yes, if that's a clever one. Actually, I used to. You can ask a few people in here. You can ask Debbie, who's in here. You can ask Annie, is in here. One time I got pissed off because Trump was saying something about something. And I voted for Trump, so don't give me none of that Trump bullshit. But saying something, I said, so basically, I could walk down the street without my shirt on. If you're going to say there's no difference for me, I'm a biological male, and I always will be. I can walk down the street without a shirt on, right? So if cars crash and stuff, it's not my bad. I even went so far as to ask my oldest daughter if her husband would mind coming with me and taking his shirt off too, to where just two guys walking down the street, right? Just two bros walking down the street. But then I changed my mind. I didn't want to get him involved because I would probably end up in jail. Thank you very much. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. That person said, I respect anybody with common sense. I don't care what's underneath that pants or the shirt. Exactly. Exactly my point. Thank you for that. That is one of the most intelligent things I've heard all night. They all like the same sex. What does that mean? I'm famous, I know. I just like you. That's all. Okay, guys, it's 2:20 in the morning. I got to get up, not early, because I got tomorrow off, but I do got to go to the doctor, and it's probably best first time I meet this doctor not be all bloodshot eyed from staying up too late. So I should probably call in tonight. I do appreciate you. Hit the like button on your way out. And even if you don't like me, you should subscribe to the channel, because here I enjoy, I encourage different opinions to come here and state your case. I will read what you say, whatever your alternative is to my opinion. If you have one, I absolutely will not hide that. I encourage it. And guess what? I'm always open to changing my mind. Absolutely. If you make a better case about something, and I will definitely change my opinion on it for sure. Because you can't come into any kind of debate with a mindset saying that you cannot change. I'm set in my ways. That's just stupid. That shows a lack of intelligence. It's always somebody smarter than you. It's always somebody who knows more, and I'm willing to be changed. That's why I encourage people, even if you don't appreciate it, just because you subscribe to the channel, you could be subscribing for simply so that you can come back and debate me more. Great. I'm all for it. That's what this is about. Because we need intelligent conversations. God knows our freaking government's not having them. Anyway, thanks, guys. Tomorrow night, probably around 9 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock, I'm going to come on, and we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Israel and Iran. I think it's necessary to educate some people on what's going on there, and then I'll give you my opinion on it. You know, and basically, I'm going to cheat and tell you a little something. My opinion has to do with the people of Iran. Or Israel. Yeah, Iran. Excuse me. God damn, I get them confused. Iran. If the people of Iran needed help, and they're happy that their leader is gone because of the repression that's gone to them, then I think we should have helped them. That's just me. But we'll break it down a little more. It's not all going to be about the war, because I think that's monotonous, but that'll be part of it. Thank you. Bye, Debbie. Bye, Annie. Thanks for that one video today, Annie. I looked into it. I even commented on Buck's video about it, because I didn't know about the whole jail thing, which really pissed me off. Not that they're taking away the surgeries, because I agree with that. They should, when you're in jail, you did the crime, do the time. But the fact of putting people that have fully transitioned into men's prison is dangerous and irresponsible and reckless. See you guys later. Hit like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. I'm about 1,000 away. That's about a 28-day if I'm to normal. But if people get really enthusiastic and subscribe, then I can get there quicker. So I'm trying to hit that elusive 10,000 subscriber mark. I know it's a small channel, but hey, even Mr. Beast had to hit 10,000 at one time. But you like girls. Famous, I don't know. It had nothing to do with my sexual preference of why I transitioned. I transitioned because of who I was internally. I thought that I might change who I preferred when I started hormones, and the doctor even said it's a possibility, but it never happened for me. So I guess I'm a lesbian. I mean, I kind of feel ripped off a little bit, because I would like to have known what it was like to have a desire for a man. That would have been cool, but I just don't. I can't force it, and I'm not going to force it because I'm not attracted to them, but it is what it is. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. Gotta go to sleep. Bye, guys. Gotta shut it off. Shut it off. There we go.